So we're just going to get a measurement from the fork. It's a strange, unusual Furler, unusual force stay because it terminates in a fork. I don't know if that's original or what, but anyway. I'm just going to mark 7 feet because it's and then measure the rest of it. This rig, we're lifting the mast up 3 inches. The mast is right there, actually both masts are right there. But the main mast, he wants to lift it up 3 inches because the boom is too close to his bimini. Right? It's got like a hard top, and the boom, when he's sailing hard to wind, the boom is like rubbing on the top. No, it's a soft top. It's chafing through. He had to fix it 7 different times. Hasta la punta. Ajá, el fin abajo. And we'll get the tape measure to match the curve and everything, and it's 49'8". Alright, Jesus, it's fucking long, yeah? So we're gonna add 3 inches. Era hasta aquí también. Del bajo. Este. Okay. And we're also gonna lose this ugly, useless piece of junk. This is a hassle for us, I believe, although it's kind of short. It may be somebody else's version of something that looks like a hassle for us, but it's stainless steel. It actually turns remarkably well. Problem with putting a stainless steel turnbuckle on stainless steel threads, though, is you get galling. You familiar with the term galling? It's when the friction of turning it heats the threads up so much that they become brittle and break. And this is a problem with stainless steel. If you remember on our video about the high mods, we were putting in, when we install a high mod, the nut the first time, we lubricate the threads with the red Loctite. And that's to prevent it from galling, because it's also stainless on stainless. And we forgot one time, I think Damian, it was his fault. Yeah, he does all the Staylock. So he forgot to put in Loctite one time and galled the threads. And there's a brand new, $80 fitting. And the cap, just by tightening it, the threads got so hot that they became brittle. They seized up, and we had to cut the fitting, like chop it into pieces to get it off, because once the threads seize like that, they won't come off, and they become brittle, and they will break. So that's the problem with stainless turnbuckles. It would keep the threads up, and you can't see anything. It looks fine until it just lets loose. Hasselfors makes lots of these, and I hate them. They're pretty. Hasselfors is pretty nice quality stuff. It's just added the wrong material. And you can see where if you put a screwdriver in, like a regular bronze turnbuckle, you open it up, close it with a screwdriver, no problem. This one, you put a screwdriver in here, it spreads this apart. Sometimes if you put a wrench on this, it'll compress them together. It's a bad idea. Anyway, we're going to replace this with some link plates. They're just basically 2 pieces of stainless steel with a bunch of holes in them. And it's not going to be adjustable in the future. because who needs to adjust a forestay? That's what the backstay is for. Anyway, we need to unwrap that thing, and then we're going to take this drum off of the foils and cut the end of the wire off and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I have to figure this out first and unwrap the drum and take this fucking thing off, and then we'll get it over there on the table where you can actually see it. This here, notice, this has stainless steel bearings in it. This does too. It has stainless steel bearings all in the inside there. We'll get to that later. This drips down on the terminal on the bottom of the Furler. And it's got a stainless steel nut that lives in one arm, and a stainless steel bolt that is so thoughtfully. So did we introduce this thing yet?
No.
Selden, French built. It's called a Furlex. Selden makes masts, makes all kinds of rigging stuff, and all of it is super high quality. Notice that bolt captured. There's a little piece of plastic in there.
Wait,
a little plastic washer. You see?
Oh yeah.
So that when you're standing on the bowsprit on your boat and you want to take this thing off because you're going to split open the drum, it doesn't fall in the fucking water. It's brilliant. Also, another thing you'll notice on this, unlike Harkin or Profurl, God forbid, or Schaefer, every stainless steel fastener on this Furler threads into a piece of stainless steel. There's no place where they put stainless into aluminum. This one here, it's got the nut captured there, and that's all the way through this thing. Sometimes getting the nuts to stay into their little spot where they're captured is a pain, but at least we don't have the issues of crevice or galvanic corrosion that you have when you put stainless steel fasteners into aluminum, because the aluminum corrodes because of they're different enough on the galvanic scale that the aluminum corrodes, and aluminum oxide is bigger molecule than aluminum, and so when the aluminum corrodes, it squeezes the stainless steel fastener, and they get so tight that you just break the fasteners, or you can't get them out. And you heat them and beat on them, and you spend a lot of time removing stainless from aluminum, and Furlex don't have to do any of that. This one definitely needs to be rebuilt. There are bearings in here. Not sure why they bothered making this turn, but they did. So we're going to make it turn again. You can just have it fixed, because this is where the tack attaches. So it can just be fixed to line up with the foils. Strangely enough, it's not. Well, this one actually is, but it's not lining up with the foils. It's not supposed to be fixed. Anyway, we just need to get my furling line off. Separate the two halves, so we just open that up a little bit, and then there's another tab on the bottom side. It's just the same thing. Excellent. There's the rope that lives in there. These two things, you can put the rope on either side, but they index into these holes in the Furler drum assembly. This here is a grease fitting. Now they say grease, but you can't actually get grease down into it. But you can put a lower unit like gear oil. I use like 80W90, the same thing you use in the outboard motors, because I have it handy, and it's pretty thick. And so you can take that plastic screw out and actually put lubricant into the stainless steel bearings. So you're just beginning to see. Right here is the stainless bearing, but when we'll see all that fine later on. There's a captured nut in there. Wow, it's still slimy with grease. Amazing. Now, I believe that's going to come off, but it will only go as far as the wire allows it. Oh, the wire's going to allow it to go. So, I can cut this wire here, but it only leaves me like 3 inches to attach my string. What we're going to do with this eventually is cut it, and then we'll open up all the outside wires and cut out the core and stick a string just in the end, and then the string will live inside this foil until we're ready to install the new wire. And we'll do this, the new wire, I have a high mod or something like that. High mod or Staylock, probably a high mod, for one end, so it's open on one end, and it's too long. Like, it's probably a foot longer than it needs to be, hopefully, if I measure correctly. Then we can open up the new wire and cut out the core and put the string on and pass it through. Well, let's see the whole entire procedure. Ah, the captured nut became uncaptured. Damn it. That's a fucking drag. I wonder if... How is that gonna work? That one worked fine. See, that's the only drawback with the captured nuts. The aluminum, at least eventually, you can break it or drill it or do something. But if the nut becomes uncaptured, maybe if we... Maybe gravity will help us?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not. Thanks, gravity. Huh. I don't know how to get the hell in there. Huh. Interesting challenge.
Aren't you ever sick of working with salty stuff that's been just rusting out there? It's complicated to remove.
Yeah, it gets old after a while. But at least it's not, I'm not hanging up a mask. That gets really frustrating. This is actually usually one of the easiest parts of the entire job, and it's not really going that well. Okay, now I think now's the time for all the balls in this to fall over the place. So this has these ears on here, and you just turn that How do I turn that? This thing. Here's our captured nut. There's our nut that wasn't very well captured. The drawback to this whole design, putting it together is a pain in the ass for one thing. The other thing is when these, see that? It's all round. That was the one that was spinning, I suspect. Is that when this thing wears out, you're really kind of screwed. I guess we'll try putting a little dab of thickened epoxy in there maybe and see if we can't keep that, capture the nut again. But it has to be in the exact right spot too. See, this is like set so it moves up and down, but it, yeah, it also allows it to, it's allowing that nut to spin. This one is still, you know, decent. So yeah, it's a good design, but it just has some issues. Oh, somebody took out the ball bearings. How interesting. So originally, this would have had a stainless steel race with stainless steel bearings and a stainless steel plate. And that's the way most of these work, is that you take them off and they're just bearings everywhere. And as I said earlier, there's no point in it because this doesn't need to spin. All it needs to do is stay aligned with that. And apparently somebody else said, well, it doesn't need to spin, to hell with it. Or they just, oh, the bearings fell out when they were taking it apart and they lost them all and they said, whoops. One of the two. Anyway, now we're getting somewhere. Now we have to remember how to do this. There is an Allen screw accessible through this hole, and there is a hole, and there's a sleeve inside here that makes up the inside of the bearings. The outside of the bearings and ride in this aluminum, and this sleeve is threaded onto this piece, and that's what compresses the bearings together. And so we need to get this off, and then balls definitely will fall all over the place.
What are you putting? What do you put?
Carb cleaner, limpiador de carburetor. I wonder if this stuff will become obsolete in the next few years. There's not really that many cars left with carburetors. The blue half of the Allen wrenches. Oh, you can't hear me, can you? There are more in here. Balls, that is. I believe that's all
Like
of them.
muddy balls.
Muddy, shitty, dirty junk. We've got diesel for that. But what we're gonna do to rebuild this is basically clean the stainless. There's a stainless steel race in here that's all removable. There's another bearing identical to this. I think they have 9 balls right here. And putting that in is interesting. And then we just clean them up with diesel, and I lube them up with just regular gear, like high temperature wheel bearing grease or any kind of grease you got. They move, compared to what stainless steel bearings are designed to do. They have an incredibly low load. They're incredibly slow moving. Because a Furler is just turning with maybe what, 100 pounds of force on it. And these things, these are wheel bearings, same as you put on a car and drive around with, thousands and thousands of pounds of force. So any old grease will do. I'm not sure if there's anything that's better or worse as far as salt water or longevity in that respect. Never seen one come back. They just go out and then they're gone. So this is the Staylock fitting, and normally I'll just grab a cone so we can see what. So this is regular Staylock. I believe it's the same actual size too. Yeah. Must be 5/16 wire, maybe 3/8. Don't know. Anyway, must be 3/8. This is what's inside there. So that you onlay this 12 wires on the outside, and the 7 wires in the center go through here. The 12 wires on the outside lay around the perimeter outside of this cone and are bent down by a thing inside there called the former, and then it's all captured by this nut. So that's the way the Staylock works. As you can see, if I was cutting this off, a normal Staylock, I would cut the wire right there, and then you just take this and open it up most of the way, leave a couple threads attached. You have a little bit of wire sticking out, put it in the vise, hit it. It will drive the wires and the cone and everything down into the fitting and drive it loose from the so all this stuff will have wires all around it, and it'll loosen it up from the cap, and then you can take it out and punch it all the way through, and the wires just fall off, and then you have the cone. And the Staylock says you cannot reuse them, and I say they're full of shit, because I've reused a ton of them. Basically, you want to look up here and see if you can see corrosion. If the fitting was put together without any sealant, it will oftentimes be too corroded to use, and basically, if it's corroded at all, it's too corroded to use. This one, as you can see, is absolutely perfect. There's no corrosion whatsoever. And there's absolutely no reason not to reuse it. That's why when I took that apart, I saved it, because it was installed correctly. It might be 30 years old. Good to go. This one, and see, we're going to cut the wire off right here, as close as we can get, but the wire is, it's like that long. So if you start beating on it, the wire just opens up, and it'll never drive through. There's a hole that size. It'll never go through that hole if you allow the wire to open up. There's the other bearing. It's somewhere in there.
The what?
The other bearing. It's somewhere in there. So this is our problem. This gap around the wires, and this is our solution. See, there's threads inside there too. This is that tube that we stuck the punch in there. It threads inside here, and that's what compresses the bearings together. And then you have that little Allen screw that keeps them from spinning, because you can't. There has to be some play in the bearings, or else they won't spin. So I need to find this socket that fits inside there, but goes around the wires reasonably tight. Oh, that one. Okay, so it's this one. That's the one. We'll hope that these threads don't gall. If they do, remember that stainless on stainless thing? You can feel it getting hot already. If they gall, Furler's done. $2,000 new Furler. So, take this one a little slow. Bring it back down. Get some lubrication into the threads. So that's what the Staylock looks like when it's pretty close to perfectly installed. Except they didn't put any sealant in this one, and it's chock full of rust. As you can see, the wire's rusting, the cone is rusting. I'm sure the former's rusted. So the problem, we need to get this loose. It's been, put in there with what the force of a forestay. You're talking 10,000 pounds of force or something in there, and you can't grab that with anything that I've ever found. It just slides out of the vise if you try and grab hold of it. To pull it down, you have to beat it up. Child! Beat it up from the top. Something happened.
Stuck it in there. Through the wires, eh?
I think it went through. Oh no, it worked. Okay. It's driving the center out, it looks like. So it's probably stuck in the hole. Yeah, it's driving the center through. This one will fit a little bit better. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. So, like I say, 100% reusable if you put sealant in there. This one actually, if you're stuck in a pinch and you had nothing better, you could reuse that in a heartbeat. It's not that bad. There's no crevice corrosion. But it's not pretty, and I've got new ones, so we're not going to use that. In there, not too bad. This is one of the only failure modes for Staylock, is this corrosion down in the bottom there, making crevice corrosion in the side, sometimes in here, sometimes in there. They'll fail, which I've seen like twice, and I think my rigging supplier Brooks, who's been doing it for 50 years. I think he said he's seen like, you know, a couple dozen fail in 50 years. So there's one last piece. We're gonna take out that old former. And the way to do that is to use a drill bit. So we want to find the drill bit that doesn't quite go through that hole. 1/4 inch. That's where we start. What we're going to do is get the drill bit caught in that hole and use it to pull the. Nope, went right through. Okay. We go up a size. 2/64. Chloe would love to say. Or a 32nd. Half a 16th. Is it turning or is it just dull as dishwater? Can't tell. Dull as dishwater. Who's the hillbilly who ground that? Next. Next size, we just keep doing this until one of them either gets caught in the, it's going to get caught in that hole strong enough to spin this and loosen it up, or until we drill the entire thing out. Eventually, they all give up. Next. So this eventually caught. Obviously there's crevice corrosion issues inside this snapped. But yeah, after the 7th drill bit or whatever, it just gets caught right when the drill bit's about to go through. They often get caught, but I use that to remove those things. So anyway, that's that.
Can I see it very well? Wait.
That's the new one. There's not much we can do in there. Still quite a bit of material left there. I'm going to try to clean up the threads a little bit just so I don't have a lot of extra friction when I'm putting the cap in, because we need to tighten the cap down the proper amount. Bucket of used diesel.
Oh gosh.
From my sailboat.
Diesel that have traveled through the Caribbeans. That's cool.
Yeah. It's traveled around. It's been around a while.
Adds up some value.
Yeah.
I mean.
Down at the bottom, there's piles of goop. This is what I used to clean all the winches. And
like, what does it clean?
it's just a solvent. Fancy shops have a hot bath of mineral spirits. I used to have one like that, but it was never hot. I didn't have it plugged in. But yeah, I used to, when I was fancy, I used to have mineral spirits in mine. But diesel works just as well, if not better. It just smells a little bit. But like I said, the chicks dig it. Guy smells like diesel at the end of the day. Everyone likes that. That's better. Got those threads. That's a little smoother. The thing to remember about these mechanical terminations is that they are, if properly installed brand new, it's going to be the same strength as the wire, and the wire is probably never going to exceed 40-50% of its average break. So what we're dealing with is things that are quite a bit stronger than they need to be, because you're out in the ocean and things need to be quite a bit strong. But that said, a little bit of imperfection in the mating surfaces between the wire and the cone, if it lowers the strength of this by 10%, it's not an issue. Yeah. Threads are decent. That's cleaned up. That looks pretty nice. There's a little bit of residual corrosion there, but it's just on the surface. And like I said, if this is destroyed, it's $2,500. It's probably more. It's probably like $3,000 for this size of furler. What did I say it was? 57 feet long or something? Former goes in here.
But this comes with the furler.
This
It
does,
has
yeah.
to be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can't order that thing.
This one, that's just a general. That's just a
Yeah.
normal Staylock.
But
this
that
piece,
part, yeah.
This piece is the Staylock cap with a bearing race
Yeah.
formed into it. I suppose you could get a machinist to build one.
But
Luckily, I've never had to do that. It's a pretty complicated piece of machining and a piece of painting.
yeah.
So we used to have that. This. So with that, I get the drum just a couple inches lower than it used to be, which will mean that it'll actually be nice, because then with the drum a couple inches lower, the wire is going to end up the same length, about 3 inches longer, because we're lifting up the mast. You can't forget that. And so the wire will be a little bit longer, and then it'll expose, you'll actually be able to see the wire at the head of the mast, because right now all you can see is the swage, which it's all right unless the wire gets caught in the furler and it unlays it, and then you don't know because you can't see it. But now you'll have about this much wire, maybe that much wire exposed at the top, which will be handy. So that's what we're going to go with. I'm not going to add anything else. I was thinking about reusing this, or using that other one I had, and then putting just stainless steel plates down here. But this will be a smoother, nicer setup. And this is brand new. It's been sitting in a bilge of a steel boat for a while, but it's in much better condition than that one, and we don't have to worry about this elongation and anything like that, because we've got brand new stuff. I'm going to put the new former in here. This is the 10 millimeter. That's the one we want. There's our new Staylock. want that? Watch out, that's hot. This will make for a tedious video, but it's so worth your time to put these wires in order, because if they're not right, putting that rope in here is such a nightmare. It's like if the wires aren't in order around here, it takes longer to feed that rope on there than it does to rebuild the entire freaking furler. This part, it really doesn't pay to try and rush it. If you do, it goes sideways super quick. You just go along. Every time the rope tries to pop out the side, but that's excellent. Disgusting. Two more captured nuts. We don't want to drop into.
They're hard to see.
Yeah, those are the first ones we took out that hold the
Yeah.
foils down. Usually when you pull these apart, they're just bone dry. Somebody was greasing that, but as you can see, the grease, eventually, it just really doesn't do anything except make everything stick. Ooh. If I'm not mistaken, I believe these are identical. You don't have to keep track of which one came from where. $14, $16, $18, $20, $22, $24. 12 each? I thought there were 9 for some reason. Obviously that was totally wrong. So usually, I normally use this unoil, uni oil, high performance grease. It's just random crap. I think it came out of the bilge of some sailboat that I scrapped out. But instead, that's weird. What the hell happened to the lana coat? Smells like sheep. Okay, instead, I'm going to use lana coat because I love lana coat. We use it for all kinds of stuff. Use it every time we move a turnbuckle. We put lana coat on the threads. Brand new, ancient, whatever, doesn't matter. And it's electrolytic and it resists water, and it's slimy, and it's made with sheep goop. How far we get with 12? So we have 24 balls here. It's possible that all the ones in the top simply fell down while we were taking it apart and are already came out. And that appears to be what happened. So they all came out when we initially dropped all the balls out, because that is full. Excellent.
So what was the problem originally with the Furler? Was there a problem?
No problem. It's old. It's, we're replacing the wire. Well, obviously, we cut the forestay out. We're re-rigging the boat completely. The rigging is ancient, and there's a number of cracked swages. So anytime you replace the wire, we take the opportunity to service the Furler. If we're not replacing it, which we almost never replace them, because generally speaking, when people pay like $4,000 to $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 for a rig, the last thing they want to do is spend more money on a Furler. Why isn't that going in? Yeah. It's been a while since I did this. That's gotta go in sideways. Whatever. Nice, guys. Thanks. That made everything so nice and easy. And this. Heads on there. Smooth and easy. I'm going to turn that around. You can see in there, those are the hole, that's the hole. See that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that, when there's a forestay in there, you only are able to insert the punch, through one side of that. Oops, different punch. When you take the forestay out, then of course you can put your punch all the way through and then use that to tighten up. Now, I don't know anything about the recommended preload on these bearings, like how much force you're supposed to put on them. So as usual, since I'm totally clueless, I'm just going to make it up, and so I just tighten it until it's tight, which obviously you don't want, because, well, actually maybe you do want. It may be because the threads are messed up. There's a little bit of play there, end play. I suspect this is where it was before. I bet that the threads inside this piece are dirty or corroded at the point where they used to stop, and we're not going to be able to tighten it any further. Yeah. Either it bottomed out or the threads are messed up. Either way, that's acceptable. There's no way the balls can fall out. If this is like an axle for a truck, you have to have torque specs, and you have to preload them bearings to the right amount and to be tapered, and because they have huge loads. This being a Furler on a little tiny sailboat. Well, it's not that tiny, but still, compared to the kind of loads that these bearings are designed to take, the loads that we're actually putting them under are negligible. That didn't go all the way in. Not very happy with that. It's not going to give us any kind of confidence. This little grub screw is the only thing that keeps all of this from opening up. If the bearings get tight, seize up from having salt water and age and corrosion. This little screw is the only thing that keeps the whole entire forestay from opening up. And well, the forestay won't open up, but it could open up these bearings. The bearings will fall out, and then you'll have a seized furler. It won't do anything. I'm going to leave this in here to hold that tube in place so the top bearing doesn't fall out. And I'm going to see if I have a tap for that. Check to see if the threads are decent first. Well, they're not bad. That should be adequate. What I'm going to do, I'm going to drill a little dimple with that bit, the one that slides in there, so that that Allen set screw has something to fit into. Let's take that apart one more time, clean the shavings out of it. Excellent. My new piece is slightly shorter than the old one. We'll call it a 1/4 inch. What do you say? 6 millimeters?
I don't know.
Yeah. Additional. Since we pinned that end, because before we measured it with Damien, he measured it to the center of the pin, but now I'm measuring to the far edge of the pin, so instead of the tape measure being here, I'm there, which is 5/16 of an inch. It's half the diameter of the 5/8 inch pin, so we've already added our 1/4 inch that we right there is our 1/4 inch that we need to, because we're using a slightly shorter swivel. 56'8". Don't cut her there, Tom. That's 48.6. This is 10 more feet. 58'6". 58. Oh shit. Is it 46.8, not 50? 46.8. And the Staylock, the wire terminates right there. Oops. Here again. Take your time. Get it open correctly. Now, because if you let the wires lay like that, twisted, it's a lot harder to deal with them when this is further open. It's easy now, and later you have to untwist them.
Yeah.
You know, however many times you just open up the wire, that's how many times you have to. Now they just behave really nice. There's the cut where we're gonna finish cut the wire. Just make sure I don't cut past that point. Putting the right end in. Kind of funny until you do it backwards, then it's not a laughing matter anymore, and you take the whole damn thing back out again. So this is indeed the bottom, and I'm going in the top, so it should be alright. Slow and easy on that part. As you get in a hurry, then you'll end up for 15 or 20 minutes trying to make that thing do that. Also, if your rope is not the right, is bigger than the core, it won't lay down nicely. It won't close up. It won't be the same diameter as original, and it will cause you problems as you try and feed it through. So you want the rope to be just the same diameter. If it's too small, obviously it won't grab very well, and you can pull it out, and then it's useless. Well, it used to be that side up, because you can see the aluminum's half worn out, and I think it's not quite symmetrical. There may be some reason why we have to do it that way. As you can see really clearly now, as you tighten that bolt down, the nut gets, well, when the nut gets tight, it's pulled up out of this slot, and you can see where the slot is totally chewed away. This one's a little bit better. This is the one that was spinning that we almost, it was this close to being a several-hour project getting that bolt out. So instead of making the next rigger really, really unhappy, I'm going to take just a dab of thickened epoxy and stick those nuts in with that, but I'm not going to do it right now. This can go on at any time during this process, so we're just going to leave it off for now. And this, all it does, you put it on with those ears in here, give it a half a turn. When these two holes line up with your captured nuts, you tighten it down, and that's yeah. That all it does is keep this swivel that no longer swivels in place. But the rest of this has to go on before. This obviously has to go on the wire. This, then that. Let's cut to length. Oops. Going about that much past. Depends on the size of the wire, of course. But if we get it right, these wires should come down and just not touch the center after they're in place. Make sure that it's not sliding off the center wire, which they love to. And we just spin the wires to lay them in place. What you want to avoid on these is there's the one wire jamming the slot. So as long as you keep spinning them, there it is. That's the one that's going. So it's going across the slot diagonally. That keeps it from falling into the slot and jamming the slot open. So the cone is able to compress onto the center section. This is the part where Staylock says, do not over tighten, without giving you any specifications whatsoever about what exactly that means. It is absolutely stunningly perfect. The slot's right there behind that wire that's running diagonally across it. And the thing to look for in these when you want the perfect is all these wires coming together just not touching. I've seen them completely wrong installed with like the wires just barely here, or the wires all crushed together on the around the cone, and 30 years old. Never gonna I really like it that someone took the bearings out of there, because this putting this thing together at the end of it all is super challenging as well. It's got 40 ball bearings at the top and bottom, and yeah, it's not fun. If I had taken this piece off, I could have removed the swivel, but it's not necessary. The swivel is the same thing. We'll just go look at that real quick. This is done. Clean grease. Ready to go.
One easy one.
Mm-hmm. Two easy ones. Yay! Same thing if you see in here. It's got those two flats. Spin it. 90 degrees. There it is. And ball bearings go everywhere. I'm gonna put a little ball bearing dam, I think. Ah, still got grease in them. And this thing is just like the others, just like the bottom. And pop all these out. Oh, this race comes out. And then get out the diesel. Clean it all up. Definitely, this one definitely needs some grease. Some new stuff. Pretty
Yeah.
sticky. So one more capture. That kind of stuff. Yeah, there's our nut. There's the other one. Ready to go. Does that work?
Yeah.
I don't think it knew it. Need to show the rest of it. It's pretty. If you can't figure it out from watching the first part, then you shouldn't be doing this, right?
Yeah.
Plus, you need to get
Sorry, guys. We're too hungry to keep going.
We're too hungry. Is it lunch?
It's lunch. I am dying. But would you do the maintenance of this? Could you have removed the whole part just like you did with the other one?
You have to take that the aluminum piece, the first two screws that bolt that aluminum end piece onto the foils. You have to take that off, or take that end off.
Oh.
Before I put the wire in. And
So
I
you
could've-
just...
I could have done that, but there's not really much point in having this completely come off. You know, because you can clean up the pieces in place.
Yeah.
I guess it's maybe a little bit easier to build it on the bench, but
Probably in the end the same amount of time.
yeah. Yeah, well, getting that piece off is not easy. It's this piece here. I don't recall exactly now how it's stuck on there.
Don't worry.
There's like I think it's the same way all these pieces are put together. There's a little, yeah. Actually, you could show this because this is one of the reasons you want to use that guide to run the string, to run the wire through. Because this is a piece of stainless steel, like spring steel, and theoretically you can push down on that piece with a pointy little thing, and this will slide off. But in reality, they're fucking impossible to get apart. So, and that's how that thing is attached at the end. There's a pin just like this. You can't access it, so you have to push that piece in. You can see someone's done that already at some point, and you can see the frustration level as this thing is quite a bit larger than it originally was. They had it. It's really difficult because there's a aluminum piece inside there that makes a for like a bushing or something, and then those little springy things. Impossible. Yeah, you can't count on taking these things apart. I mean, you can't really count on taking any further apart after it's been together for a little while. Sometimes you get lucky, but these, no. Okay. I need to wash my hands.
Yeah, probably before you eat the tacos.